Hello guys! Welcome everyone back to an episode of Mando Monday. This is the series where you guys ask the questions and I of course answer them. Now that could be to do with anything related to Counter-Strike 2, Valve, future upcoming updates such as CS2's first operation, maybe it's regarding future night maps that probably will and are coming to Counter-Strike 2, the return of Cache, Cobblestone which has been found in the game files, and really whatever else you guys can think of. If you guys have a question you want a shot at being answered in next week's video, leave it down below of this as well as my many community posts. I always do one typically right before Mando Monday goes out, usually a couple days before. This week's episode of Mando Monday, we break down upcoming night maps, classic offensives deletion, when charms will be leaving the armory, the Austin Major Easter eggs, CS investing, alongside a bunch more. But before we go any further, I would like to give a huge thank you to Skins Monkey for sponsoring today's video. Skins Monkey is a buying and trading marketplace where you can replace your old skins for something shiny. To start a trade, it's as simple as to click the skins you no longer want and grab the new skins you want to obtain. If you need to top up your balance, you can use my code MANDO for an additional 35% deposit bonus, as well as you can also get up to a free $5. With Skins Monkey's large variety of skins, they also offer daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways. Be sure to check them out in the top link in the description down below. Our first question up here is from Bolt CS, and he says Valve didn't let Classic Offensive release because they didn't want any competition. And for those who don't know the whole story and want kind of, I guess, the quick scoop, but long story short, the Classic Offensive devs, the one being Zool, the creator of it anyway, he was working on the mod since 2015, got the green light from Valve that it was able to release on Steam. Years passed, they continued to work on it, and then they needed confirmation once again and to talk to someone at Valve, and they kind of just ghosted them for the matter of 4 to 5 years. And then they were pretty silent about it until they told the community had a big outcry. Then Valve responded saying they could release it, which got a lot of people's hopes up, including the creators. And then last second, right before its release as a mod on Steam, Valve sent out a cease and desist letter saying they have to cease all operations regarding Classic Offensive, and that's it. So what this comes down to, at least in my opinion, is one of 3 reasons why Valve did so. Number 3 being my own opinion and somewhat resembles your answer and your question, but because of the timeline of events that was provided and we can see on social media, pretty much what the first 2 comes down to is a lot of people think that Zool, the creators of Classic Offensive, and this is not me accusing anybody of anything, I'm just stating what I've seen, people have stated that they've been using reverse code, stolen code, leaked code from CSGO, just Counter-Strike in general, which obviously is a big no-no when it comes to game releases. And asking AI actually what they think of this, they also said based on the facts and the storyline, the timeline that we've received from everybody, this makes sense to be the most likely. But I don't think it stops there. You see, what you said in your answer, I actually don't think is too far off from the truth. And really only time is going to tell if this is real or not. And what I mean by this is with Classic Offensive, with the timeline of events that was provided. If we look back to the time when Valve greenlit the game once again, and it was just near a month out from release, CS2 was in a really weird spot. We were getting a lot of new players, Valve was making a boatload of money, especially with the recent Armory updates with new collections and of course the Fever case, but the game was rampant with bots, cheaters, and pretty much anything you can name. It was also lacking content, the anti-cheat, and everything we've been talking about since the launch of CS2. And for the marketing and trailers for Classic Offensive, but also CS Legacy, these were some of the most viewed Counter-Strike videos I have seen in quite some time. And once again, this was just for a mod. So that's why I think Valve could have been possibly a little scared of the situation because of the state of CS2 at the time. And I think what was most likely is one, they didn't want Classic Offensive to release because they knew people were going to leave CS2, go play that, not bring money to CS2, not make it on the top charts, etc. on Steam. But I also think in this case, it could have been other things, quite possibly the first 2 reasons, pretty much all built into one. But I think what we'll really see is when CS Legacy releases, if it does release on Steam anyway, if Valve just hates Counter-Strike mods and doesn't want anyone going to anything different from CS2, I think from that point on, we're probably gonna know. Let me know what you guys think. It's a really weird topic, and it's also really weird in my opinion. Most people have kind of just forgot about it and also stopped talking about it just in general. Now, our second question up here is from Luxy B, and he says, when are the charms leaving the armory? Now, this is all my opinion. This is subjective, so take this with a grain of salt, but I believe charms will be leaving the armory most likely after the Austin Major's completed, and there's a few reasons why I think this. So if we were going to see an armory refresh, it would have already happened before the Austin stickers released. And for those who don't know or don't really know what's been going on with CS2 recently, we've gotten a lot of updates, a lot of dev activity, and because we just recently got the Fever case, brand new collections for drops every game, a bunch of new stickers, not to mention we're probably also going to get more cosmetics after the major to fill that void, it's going to be a pretty interesting timeline of events. Essentially, the next big update that we see to Counter-Strike, I'm assuming is going to be for the armory, and maybe this is also where they could add possible missions in there to get drops if you've already bought a pass, so on and so forth. And I also want to state the obvious, it's also good to know for the next armory refresh that the majority of the skins and collections will most likely stay on that armory pass for the next 8 months to a year. So maybe buying in the first couple of months is not going to be the best idea, and definitely removes a lot of the rarity, I guess you could say, that you find with things in operations and what we have seen in the past. But hey, that's kind of besides the point. But yeah, thank you for the question. Long story short, I think we're going to see the removal after the Austin Major, and some time has passed where those stickers are 75% off. What do you guys think? Our next question up here is from Ripstar CS, and he says, do you think they're going to make more night versions of other maps? Long story short, yes. For those who don't know, need a quick summary or recap, essentially what has been found in CS2 game files via data mines throughout these recent updates we have seen for CS2 is there are leaks and a lot of evidence and things pointing towards night maps coming to CS2, the main one being for Ancient. And Ancient is just also the beginning. More evidence and proof that night maps are coming to CS aside from Ancient is for those who don't know as well, with the recent release of the Austin Major stickers, specifically the papers for the first time in CS history, they glow in the dark. And as most of you know, there's not a whole lot of dark maps inside CS2. So why would they put in all that effort for glow in the dark stickers, as well as other stickers that glow in the dark from the Warhammer capsules that also released with the Austin Major, if they weren't getting ready to release something after the Major that was significant for Counter-Strike? That's just my thoughts and opinions. I think we're probably going to see a lot of night maps come to CS2 eventually. Now, if these will be subbed in for the normal maps, let's just say we get Ancient Night, Ancient Day, or just baseline Ancient, I think the majority of these are probably only going to be well playable in the fun game modes like Deathmatch, Arms Race, maybe eventually Flying Scoutsman. But how cool would it really be to be playing Mirage Night, let's just say in Premiere? It really give the map pool some charm. Even though it's the exact same map, it just feels a lot different. And as we know with skins, aesthetic makes the game feel a whole bunch better, at least sometimes. But let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think it's just a funny coincidence with the Austin Major stickers as well as the Warhammer capsules to have glow in the dark stickers right now with the Ancient leaks? Or do you think it's just all one big coincidence? Our next question up here for today's video is one I used to get all of the time. And with our first Mando Monday back after a year break earlier last year, we actually had half of that video dedicated to a question like this. And that's from Unknown, and he said, did you stop making CSGO investment videos? So the quick answer to this is yes, but there's also a handful of reasons to why I did. The first, and I'd say biggest reason up here, is I just stopped enjoying skins as much as I used to. For those who've been around the channel for a long time, maybe since the beginning of CSGO, you'd know I was a pretty big skins collector. At one point, I had an entire Copenhagen Flames inventory, I had themed inventories, switched them on and off every once in a while, collected a couple Katos here and there, so on and so forth. I also started my channel based off of CS investment videos, talking about the market, talking about skins, but it's also because Counter-Strike was in a very different point at that point in Counter-Strike's history. Back in CSGO in early 2020, 2021, CSGO versus CS2 right now was in a completely night and day difference. CSGO was at that point over 10 years old. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about for the game, for updates, kind of like what we do today, but I did still make CS update videos as well as CS news videos, but they weren't as frequent because the game wasn't as big and there wasn't that much to talk about that was new. In skins was somewhere I found my niche, because before I started YouTube, I started investing in Kato 19, Krakow 2017, and I wanted to talk about my experience with it on YouTube. And then fast forwarding a couple more years until the release, or at least tease, of CS2, I started to realize what CS investing, what talking about skins was doing to YouTube, and what groups of people you were affiliated with. There are still a lot of great people on the CS investing side of things, and a lot of those people don't really make YouTube videos anymore, or at least don't cover the same content. I know one that's still going strong is Master Shiny, but I've noticed just really isn't my thing as much as it used to be. I really started realizing that with the release of CS2, my main focus was the game and the game only. It's what I really only truly cared about, but also I had a fun time making those videos. I felt like there was more of a passion from when I first started YouTube. But with that being said, skins are nice, and it's also making me want to get back into the market just a little bit more. I've definitely checked out the market trends, especially with all the pump and dumps and manipulation as of recently that I have in the last 3 years, I'd say. So if these are videos you guys would like to see, maybe sometime in the future, let me know. And I guess I struggle with this as well, with making CS investment videos or videos on skins specifically, is versus when I started versus now, it's very different. Not because of the atmosphere or anything, but because making investment videos with a bigger audience is a little more difficult, since people like me in that situation would always get accused of trying to pump the market, when in reality, if people just take a look around, take a step back, and actually look at the situation, it really can't happen unless you have something similar to the most recent Chinese pump and dump. But also, what benefit would the YouTuber truly get when he's putting his reputation on the line, his channel, his Steam, his entire inventory? And that's not to say everyone's innocent, but I think that you guys can kind of understand that. So sorry if that question was a little bit longer than, well, you anticipated. Definitely was for me as well. I feel like I haven't talked about that in quite some time, and I just wanted to tell you guys my thoughts and also my reasoning, because I do get questions every once in a while about it. At the end of the day, though, I would like to start making maybe some sort of shift into making more market-related content, skins content, especially if I get really back into skins. That'd be cool. But someone I do suggest you go check out is Master Shiny. He's a great dude, makes some good videos, and comes at you with some great facts and numbers. Our next question up here for today's video is regarding Simple having no sticker in the Austin Major. So as most of you have pointed out in the comments, but also across all of social media regarding the Austin Major, his sticker would be pretty cool, it'd be pretty insane. But unfortunately, due to the new rules that Valve has laid out for CS2, its competitive atmosphere, roster locks, tournaments, etc., because Simple got on FaZe when he did, he won't be getting a sticker at the Blast Austin Major. And that's just how it is. And our next question up here was regarding the viewer pass to the 2025 Austin Major. Can you make a detailed video on the viewer pass, which one to buy, and investment, etc.? I know this is a little out of the norm for Mando Monday nowadays, but with this, I do want to give a quick history on viewer passes, and I think you guys should probably know if you haven't bought into them already. Back in the day, viewer passes didn't always used to be the worst thing in the world to buy. Looking at Katowice 2019 nowadays, it doesn't seem like the worst return in the world. But if you do consider the facts, nowadays with the most recent majors, there's a lot of things at stake and a lot of things at hand that people don't really think about. One of them being that everyone and their mom's dog, at least here in CS2 anyway, for whatever reason, buys any and everything at whatever price. And people don't really consider that. So unless you can get these for a fat discount, not to mention you also want to sit on them for a very long time, because that's what you will be doing in order to get a really good return, like Berlin or Katowice 2019, yeah, it'll be pretty interesting. And also it really hurts with these majors. It's not necessarily the souvenir tokens that do it. Those are a little bit more money than the base pass because they come with the tokens, but because of the coins, they all look the same and have looked the same since, I believe, 2019. And Valve isn't and hasn't really changed them whatsoever. So I think buying passes is pretty situational, at least when it comes to majors. But if you can get them for a good price and you see that they're not being bought up too frequently, it might not be the worst option in the world, especially if you know that you're going to have to sit on it for quite some time. But with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay positively sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.